let's talk about another living room space that I worked on with a client. And this is also another relatively long living room. So, traditionally, I mean, it's long, but it's not very wide. So, you can't really get like large scale furniture in this space without taking up a lot of the walkway, which we do have um, from the front door. There's this living room off the front entry, and then it goes straight into a dining room. So we did want to leave a little bit of a walkway from the front door into the dining room and also flowing from the dining room to the living room. And what this client wanted was just a really comfortable sitting space for herself. I find that a lot of houses now, you had traditionally when they were built um, a family room, and then you have a formal living room, same thing with a breakfast nook, and then you have a formal dining room. And a lot of people these days don't need those formal dining spaces or formal living spaces because they just don't get used that much. So everyone's always trying to find a creative way to fill these formerly formal spaces and make them functional so that you can use the full square footage of your house and not feel like this space is wasted. So in this formal living room, she really wanted it to just be a comfortable space for her to sit and read, but also a space where her kids could feel comfortable. They could grab a book, they could come snuggle on the couch, and it was just meant to be a really comfortable space in this living room. So I laid it out a couple different ways with that in mind. We have the flow, but we also have just a pretty long, awkward space because you can't fill it with a bunch of furniture because it's not that wide. You can't really get large furniture in because it's not that wide. So, how do you fill those long, kind of bowling alley type spaces without overfilling it? And there are a couple options that I came up with. So, the first question that I ask a lot of people when I'm designing their living room is if they are sectional people or if they are sofa and side chair people, because some people don't like sitting that close to their family members. So they're not sectional people. They want that separate space. Or maybe have a larger family, so they need more seating. Um, Not all people are sectional people. And I find sectionals are a little bit cozier. They're a little bit more casual. And this client in particular said she could really go either way. She didn't have a preference and she wanted to see layouts both ways. So let's take a look at the two options that I gave her when laying out these spaces. So a cozy space is what we're looking for. She wanted to get some bookshelves in, but also filling the space and how we do that. So the first option I gave her was a sectional. And a relatively long sectional, and then we had a little bit of space for a side chair, so we get enough seating in this room, and it fills the space nicely. And then on both of these options, I put bookshelves along the back wall. She was debating whether she wanted freestanding bookshelves or something built in, so I drew a couple bookshelves on that back wall. And this is really where the two kind of separate designations of this space come in. Because it is such a long room, to fill this space, you almost need a couple different sections of space to be able to have the room function the way that you want to. So my idea was you put these bookshelves back here and maybe you get a couple poofs for the kids, or they can sit on the ground back there and just hang out, and it still fills the space nicely without having a ton of furniture, and then you get those two separate sections. So this was the first option I gave them. You still have a nice path of travel from the front entry door to the dining room through the living room. And then the second option I gave them, like on the video I did last time, swivels. I think swivels make a long space like this so functional, and they give a multi-purpose function to a space like this. So you can have the formal sitting space, and you can have, a conversation space, but you can also, if you're reading, you can swivel around, you can look at the bookcases, pick your book, and that adds another layer of function to a space like this. So I love using swivels in these long spaces. You'll see me use them a lot when you kind of have an awkward space that's not necessarily large enough for two sitting areas, but it's not small enough for just one single sitting area, and you're really looking to fill that room. So she opted to go for the sofa and the two swivel chairs. She felt like that was a good function for her family, and this is how it turned out. So you can see the back shelves in the back, the bookshelves in the back, and you can swivel around using those chairs, but it is also a nice looking space. When guests walk in through the entry, you can see that it's a nice formal living space. It can be cozy. You can, sit and conversate in here, but it also serves that function of really a reading area, reading nook in this house. So this met all of her criteria, and I would say my biggest takeaway when you're looking at a space that is maybe a little bit awkward is really start by thinking about what is the function, the true function of this space. If you already have a living or a family room that you have a TV in, and that is really like your big hangout space, maybe not something that's super formal, but is still functional for your family when you need separate time, or you need like a designated, like dedicated focus area, or maybe if your kids are studying or reading and you really just want a different space for that. I think this is a good function for those like formal living rooms without being really formal, and you can still get a nice looking room off the entryway that a lot of guests are gonna see without overfilling the room or having it be a waste of space. So I hope this helped you, and maybe it sparked an idea. You have an empty space that has been sitting like this that hopefully you'll be able to fill with some furniture now and get that functionality out of it.